5:35, Jeff Katz, News Radio WRVA. It is a Tuesday afternoon, early evening. It is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You need to get outside. That's what I'm saying. Now, tomorrow's not going to be bad. Thursday, 20 degrees cooler. I'm ready for this. I like this. I like it a lot. And I want you to get out and enjoy it. Oh, tomorrow, I should let you know, my old buddy Jimmy Barrett is going to be dropping by. You know, we had a lot of great people who have come through this radio station, an amazing crew of people. And I am just always grateful to make anyone's acquaintance who has helped us to reach 100 years. And I received a couple of letters. I received a couple of emails, as well as a handwritten letter with, I should point out, beautiful penmanship from Anne Marie Hancock. And I'm just thrilled that Anne Marie is able to join us. Anne Marie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is just wonderful.
It is
just wonderful.
Well, but for you, it's just a return to the airwaves. You've logged a moment or two with this here radio station, haven't you?
I had wonderful experiences at WRVA, and it was Alden Aaron who gave me my very first job. I owe WRVA my entire career.
Wow.
I hardly know what to say. I was 18 or 19 years old, and I met Alden in debate tournaments and as a princess in the National Tobacco Festival. He was a judge, and he judged me in a debate tournament, and that was a fortunate experience because that was one time we took first in the state in Virginia and got a little press for it, and then saw him at the Tobacco Festival again. He was a judge in that, and he approached me and said, "You're a tiger. What are you going to do with your life?" And I was stunned. And I said, "Oh, Mr. Arrow, I am headed for a career in communications. I love people. I love talking to people. I love getting inside their heads."
Aww.
And he said, "How would you like to try your hand at WRVA radio?"
Wow.
Well, I don't have to tell you, to be that young and have that wonderful invitation from a man who was so loved and respected in Virginia, and I mean all over Virginia. Alden was a legend. It was everything. And so I was a freshman at West Hampton College, the University of Richmond, and would daily get the bus up by the law school downtown. And he said, "What am I going to do with you?" I said, "I don't know. What are you going to do?" He said, "Let's try you on the street, and you can be my girl on the go." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And he said, "We're going to give you a tape recorder, and you go out on the streets." And we were in the old Richmond Hotel across from the Capitol. And we'll give you a topic, and you just talk to people. I said, "Okay, I can do that. I know I can do that." And then at the same time, I was approached by Alden and a gentleman named Harold Phillips, who is just unforgettable. And he said, "We would like to try you up in the helicopter with Howard Bloom, who does our weather reports." And I just wanted to do this so badly. He said, "Do you think you can do that?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I can do that. I know I can do that." Well, I went up with Howard Bloom the first time, and I get airsick, and that's exactly what happened.
Oh, no.
And then Howard said something to me about, "Well, Anne-Marie, what's going on over here?" And I looked down, and I remember even to this day, and you know how old I am, I said, "Oh, Howard, I'm so sorry. It just looks like a lot of cereal boxes to me."
Oh.
That was my last day, my first and my last, in the helicopter with Howard. And I focused on these morning clips, which would probably run about 3 minutes with Alden Aaron.
Okay.
I just loved him so. And we ended up, as time went on, doing numerous things together. But he was my hero. But Harold Phillips at WRVA was my mentor.
Wow.
And he was tough and he frightened me. He had a gruff walk.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, I was just a kid.
Yeah.
And he had that cigar hanging out the left side of his mouth all the time. And he would just power through that glass door in the studio and say things like, this character. We don't say Caribbean here at WRVA. We say Caribbean. We use preferred pronunciations.
Gosh.
I remember everything that man taught me.
Oh.
He honed my skills. He gave me discipline. He gave me confidence at the same time. He nicknamed me Tiger, and it kind of stuck. And then the big one happened. Yeah. He said, we're going to give you a chance. And I said, what does that mean? He said, we're going to send you across the street to the Capitol to do an interview with the governor.
Wow.
I said, well, what do I do? He said, you can talk. We know that. Right. He said, just do your thing and talk to him, because at the time the governor was Mills Godwin, and he was very engaged in establishing the community college system in Virginia.
Right.
So he said, just go for it, Tiger. Wow. Anyway, I was so excited. Jeff, I have no words. And I'm walking across the street, and I had a suit on. I had a college board. uniform. I was on college board from West Hampton at Miller and Rhodes. Right. And so I had a suit, I had heels, and I had the cutest hat you've ever seen. I started through the park. I sat on the bench to collect my thoughts.
No.
I thought about Harold Phillips, and I thought, I'm doing this. And a pigeon excused himself on my hat.
Oh, no. Oh.
I was so discombobulated that I actually threw my hat in the trash, knew I had to get inside to the press room. Right. Well, that was the next event. Without a hat, I walked in, and there were chairs for about 20 people. And quickly I assessed they were all friends, went to a lot of these events, sitting comfortably in their chairs, chatting. And I thought, oh, my God, Harold told me, don't come back without the interview, Anne-Marie. I said, I won't. I promise you, I'll get an interview. But there was no seat for me. Of course, nobody knew who I was. Right. They probably thought I was just a kid who drifted in to watch the reporters. Right. And that's exactly what I was doing. But at that moment, I looked, there was a hall outside the room and a phone booth. And something told me I was so afraid of Harold Phillips. Oh. I walked by all the seasoned reporters. I confronted the governor and his staff in the hall, and he was so gracious. Mills Godwin looked at me and said, may I ask who you are? I said, yes, sir. I'm Anne-Marie Carricker with WRVA Radio, the only 50,000-watt station in Virginia. Well, I think he was so amused, and his staff was in shock, clearly. I mean, they all looked like they were going to have heart attacks. And I said, would you please do me a favor? I must have this interview with you. Will you walk with me into this phone booth? And I'm going to call the studio. Well, Harold Phillips answered the phone. And I said, Mr. Phillips, this is Anne-Marie. I'm in the phone booth with the governor. I heard, what? I said, do you think we could go live? Hang on. And my first interview with the governor before all those seasoned reporters hit the air live in that phone booth. And Mills Godwin told that story for years. I would hear it when I went into television from lawyers and judges that had been at shad plankings in Virginia. And they'd say Mills was telling the story about this young girl who walked up to him and said, I want to interview you. Will you come in the phone booth with me?
Oh, my gosh.
So
Oh,
that
my
was
gosh.
something that you never forget. He told the story for years. I absolutely fell in love with him, with his kindness, with his graciousness. In fact, became a friend, social friend of the family, and loved his daughter, Becky. He had a daughter at the time, 11 or 12, and Becky and I just connected immediately. And she would come some days and walk over or be driven over to the studio and spend the afternoon with me. And as you probably know, Jeff, she was tragically killed at Virginia Beach when she was 13 years old, coming out of the ocean. She was struck by lightning.
That's right.
And something you never forget. And I believe at the time, Governor Godwin was at the Democratic convention. As you probably know, he was governor twice, ran once as a Democrat, once as a Republican. But I still remember every single bit of it. And I remember the gutsiness and moxie that Harold Phillips gave me when he challenged me. Get that interview and don't come back without it. I have so many incredible memories there, whether it was correcting my speech or my grammar or properly pronouncing a word. And most of all, still in my head, is Harold Phillips saying, remember, the news is who, what, when, where, why. Nobody wants your opinion. Do you have that, Tiger? I said, yes, sir. He taught me to deal in facts. He taught me to use sources, not one, not two, but every source I could find. He taught me to research until I knew I had the answer and never to ask a question I didn't already know the answer to. He taught me poise, and Alden taught me confidence by believing in me. And Howard probably wanted to run away from me, but we became fast friends as well. And Lou Dean, I loved Lou Dean. Lou Dean gave me a love for classical music. And this was Motown time. James Brown and the Temptations and the Four Tops and the Drifters and the Impressions. And this was just an incredible time for music. And classical music was not part of me at the time. And spending time with Lou, he actually instilled a love for Rimsky-Korsakov and Scheherazade and Mozart. And he spoke with such passion about what he loved that it was contagious. And I ended up my last year at West Hampton. I had an open class, an elective, and took classical music. That was because of Lou Dean. And my television career and everything that came after that, my writing career, is all because of these people at WRVA who believed in me and saw a 19-year-old girl with a gift of gab and said, we can work with her. It's very interesting. Lou and I later so many of them we would cross paths later in my life. And when I was in television, Lou and I rode an elephant down Broad Street. I remember that like yesterday. His elephant was Benny. Mine was Betty. And and the parade began for Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus at Broad Street in Hancock. I was dating Tommy Hancock at the time. Is that wild?
Oh, my gosh.
I know. And we've been married 57 years.
Well, Anne Marie, let me. I don't want to call you Tiger, although it's very clear that everybody is going to hang that on you when we get to chat up close and personal. Would you? I don't know what you're doing in the evenings, but I would love for you to come if you can, if to Hopewell to the Beacon Theater as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of this radio station. You are a huge part of this radio station, and so much of your great success is because of the great people here at WRVA throughout the year. So I'm hoping you'll be my guest. If you'd like, we'd love to have you there. We'll save cake and everything.
Oh, I love cake.
All right.
People say, Emery, why do you want to celebrate your birthday when we're talking about 80? Yeah. I said, because I love birthday cake. I love birthdays.
Well, there you go.
So I am honored at the invitation, Jeff. I deeply appreciate it. It's very kind of you to include me because, as you know, you have the opportunity every day to make a difference. And my husband and I, Tom and I, listen to, my parents used to listen to Alden every morning. It was part of coffee time. And you are making an enormous difference in this city. As broadcasters, we're privileged because we have a microphone in front of us, and we can do good every moment of every day. It's an opportunity to lift people up. It's an opportunity to help those who are suffering. And listening to you, you take every opportunity to celebrate the suffering, the sick, those who need help. It's a great privilege to do what we do. And I hopefully never forgot that when I was doing radio and TV. It's a great gift to be able to take that microphone and lift somebody up that really needs it.
Absolutely. Well, Anne Marie Hancock, thank you so much for being here. What an amazing story. Now we're going to make sure we share that all over social media for anybody who came in late. Again, we celebrate 100 years, a century of this radio station, and it is because of folks like Anne Marie and all those wonderful people she mentioned who were behind the scenes. Yeah, you knew Alden Aaron, but you probably didn't know Mr. Phillips, who said, yeah, I'm going to take a chance on her, and started referring to her as Tiger because he knew she had the talent, and she went out there, she proved him right. Just amazing stuff here. News Radio WRVA.
Well, checking the rest of the bridges, the Boulevard, the Bellwhite Parkway, and the Huguenot Bridge all moving smoothly this morning. We don't see any problems trying to get across the river in either direction. And in the West End, Ridge Road looks good. Also, Parham Road in pretty good shape this morning. 3 Chop headed into the Coburg Executive Center from both directions in pretty good shape. Also, Forest off of Glenside up to the Coburg Executive Center and down to Ridge is moving good in both directions. 64 outbound and inbound. We don't have any real problems yet. The sun not right in your eyes, so that's moving along quite well. Past Glenside, Broad Street, and on down to Staples Mill. Broad Street very light at this point. That'll probably start picking up the next 10 or 15 minutes. At Dunbarton and at 64, but once you get past that, you're in pretty good shape, or getting on to 64 for that matter. And this is Tom Kennedy, WRVA Traffic Scan Helicopter.